Professor Ατζέμογλου, thank you very much for being with Greek National Television. First of all, congratulations.
Well, I'm really happy about the award, but I'm also very happy to be with you here for the Greek National Television.
Thank you very much. How did you feel when you heard today that you are a Nobel laureate?
Shock and awe. I was very happy, and I'm really happy that it happened in Athens, a beautiful city. I write about Athens, the birthplace of democracy, so it's doubly meaningful when it's a prize about institutions and democracy.
Were you expecting a Nobel Prize?
You never expect such things.
Even when you were one of the top economy professors in the world, you were not expecting that such a prize would ever come?
You dream of things, but you don't expect.
True. Okay. Can I please ask you, what do you consider to be as the number one problem of today's economy, in the world economy?
Well, that's the interesting thing. I think there are so many different problems, and the fact that they're all occurring at the same time is quite unique. The world has never aged like it has right now. Aging creates a lot of challenges. AI, inequality, the nature of work and the future of work, climate change, but also to top it all up, democracy. Democracy is in crisis, and the support for democracy is as low as it has ever been in the industrialized world, where everybody thought it would never collapse. And we need democracy more than ever, because I think it's only democracy and democratic discourse that can build consensus on these very important problems. I don't see them as just dangers. I actually see them as opportunities as well. We can build a better economy if we use AI the right way. We can actually try to reduce inequality rather than boost inequality, create jobs rather than destroy jobs. Aging, I think, is a very different type of phenomenon, but when you look at it, it also creates opportunities. You know, with a workforce that's more scarce, we have to try to find better ways of using human resources. And climate change, of course, it's a big challenge, but it's also an opportunity to build a better economy.
You're telling about ways of using AI in a much more socially responsible way. Can you a little bit fathom on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I'm not an AI optimist at all, but I'm not a pessimist either. I think AI is an amazing informational tool if we use the right way, and we are right now nowhere near doing that. We're not right now nowhere near doing that because the AI we have is still not that good, and because we're hyping it so much that it's actually going in the wrong direction. In any case, I think if we attempt to use AI for automation and more automation, and if we use AI for data collection and making people less empowered, it will not increase productivity, it will not serve humanity, it will sow seeds of discontent. That's why we actually need a different direction for AI, and that's why we need regulation, that's why we need something other than the huge mega big tech companies that are dominating AI.
So who is going to guide this road? I mean, if it's not the big tech, who is doing it? Because these are the pioneers in the AI field, right?
They are the pioneers, but often throughout history, new ideas come from new people. So we do need new firms, the startups, which were the source of energy for Silicon Valley. Today, they're playing less and less of a role. But we also need the government. Look, I mean, I think AI is a potentially disruptive technology. It's going to affect every sector of the economy. It's going to provide much more information, much more data about people. So it does need to be regulated. So the government has a key role in regulation, but I also don't just think about regulation as a reactive process. You know, tech moves, creates disruptions, and we regulate in order to reduce the harms. Actually, we think we need regulation that's proactive, which means that the government actually encourages the more healthy type of AI, a more pro-human direction for AI.
Is the lack of social cohesion a huge threat for democracy in the Western world, you think?
Absolutely. You know, I mean, I think the crisis of democracy, or perhaps crisis is too strong, but it is a real difficult time for democracy, has many causes. Support for democracy has never been weaker than what we are seeing right now. Distrust in institutions has never been stronger, and all of these are related to polarization as well as other factors, which means it's becoming much harder to actually engage in democratic discourse, form consensus, make compromise, and those are critical for the future of democracy, and the future of democracy is critical for us to be able to deal with the challenges that I mentioned.
Your most famous book, I mean, at least the one that I have read, is the Why Nations Fail. In this book, you describe how institutions are very important in retaining a strong state. I would like to ask you, over the course of the last 10 years after you wrote your book, whether there are new lessons learned, or whether you sense that the West has solid institutions, or whether there is a crisis in institutions, for example, in the US, the country that you live in.
Well, it does unfortunately have a crisis of institutions. I think US democracy is in danger. I'm not saying that another 4 years of Trump will necessarily turn US into a dictatorship, but there is a real chance that US democratic institutions might crumble. There's a real danger that US institutions are not going to be able to cope with all of the difficulties that we are facing. Absolutely.
Is that a call for people, for the American people, to vote for Kamala Harris?
Well, I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris myself. And yes, I do believe that Trump is a danger. So Kamala Harris is actually quite a good candidate in many dimensions, and she does deserve our vote.
Can I ask you, there are two war zones in the planet right now that we have a keen interest on. One is Russia and the invasion to Ukraine. The other one is the Middle East. How are those two crises affecting the world economy?
I think the Russian war initially affected the food prices and the supply chain disruptions resulted from it. But I think the bigger threat is geopolitical. And same thing in the war that's going on in the Middle East. The world already has many economic, demographic challenges, and add to that a major disruption that could be turned into a regional war, and that is a real danger. I hope that we are able to contain all of the crises that are surrounding the world. There are many other areas in which life is under threat around the world, and creating peace is a first step towards realizing the potential of humanity. And that applies, of course, to the Middle East, that of course applies to Ukraine.
And what about the inflationary pressures to the world economy? Are you still afraid of them?
Not so much, no. I mean, there are countries such as Turkey, where inflation is a major problem, but I think inflation is not to be belittled, but I don't see that as the most important, most defining challenge at the moment.
And you have visited Greece in the past. You know the country. You know that Greece was hit by an unprecedented economic crisis, economic and social crisis. How do you see the country developing, some years after the, say, core of the economic crisis?
Well, I'm so happy to see Greece rebound. And, you and I spoke in 2014, end of 2014. There was a general feeling of pessimism, and I see much more one of optimism today, and that's wonderful. I mean, I think Greece has still a long way to go. We live in challenging times, and the Greek economy needs to diversify and build more in its human resources, in its people. But the direction of change is very uplifting. And
any other areas that you're working on, any other books that we should be expecting?
Well, I'm working on many things, but slow process. Democracy and AI are the two topics that I am heavily working on.
And I understand that along the lines that you described, your hypothesis is how we can somehow incorporate AI into a social responsible way.
Absolutely, and turn it into a tool for flourishing human empowerment, workers getting better information, becoming better at their jobs. Yeah, not sidelining humans, but helping them become more important and more capable.
All right. Professor Ατζέμογλου, thank you very much for being with ERT today, in such a special day, and again, accept our congratulations.
Thank you. It's so nice of you. Thank you.